Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley here at the Neal Center for one more week. Now, do not miss the Christmas play next week. Do not miss the Christmas play next week. You will be so sorry. Your life will be less rich if you are not there. Okay. And you know that our services are virtual for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And you definitely want to check the New Year's Eve service because it's Darby preaching. So we're going to sing, and the words are up there in case you don't know. Angels we have heard on high. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Welcome again. We are the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, UUCBV, or Brazos UU for short. My name is Nicole. My pronouns are she, her, and I am serving as your worship assistant today. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. I have a few announcements. We are collecting holiday items for Brazos Valley Blessings. Especially needed are educational toys and walkers for babies and gifts for teenage boys. And please see the welcome table or talk to Allison for more information. The final day to drop off in person is Saturday, December 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the new church. As Reverend Kiya mentioned, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve will be virtual. And next week is the all-ages, no rehearsal solstice play and wassail parade at the Neal Center. Don't miss our last in-person service of the year. We'll be in the new church starting in January. And the last mobile food pantry is December 16th at the Boys and Girls Club on Beck Street. Please help out. They need extra volunteers when the students are gone. And if you have a joy or concern, please write it in the book being passed around for Reverend Kiya to read. Please remember that our service is recorded and available publicly, so you need to moderate if you need a moderator message.
You all give it up for Nicole. It's her first time being a worship assistant. This is from from Reverend Victoria Stafford, who is awesome. And she says, "Now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns again toward the sun. And here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us. Now is the moment of magic, when people beaten down and broken with nothing left but misery and candles and their own clear voices kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the Kinnah, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing. Now is the moment of magic, when an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward the unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby. Born at midnight, born in poverty, and the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like. Now is the moment of magic, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents, ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love. Walking Toward Morning by Reverend Victoria Stafford. Now Abram's going to help me light the chalice. Love. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe there is a spark of the divine in every being, every single one, all of you included. And this is our opportunity to say howdy to all the divine sparks in the room. Especially say howdy to the ones you haven't met yet. And I will let you know when it's over.
I know, that's why I put my name tag on. I just like anybody.
I hope you can right here.
Killing me.
Good morning. How's it going? Thanks. Yeah. Going great. Before we get started with the Time for All Ages today, just a reminder, this is the last Sunday that you can write a note to our incarcerated UUs over there during coffee hour. There's about 35 that need to be written. So if you feel inspired, and take a couple minutes, I think we could get them all knocked out today. And I'll mail them this week. So today we're talking about the role of women in world religions. And when I first heard service was about this, my mind went into 40 different rabbit holes. I was like, oh, I'm going to do a story about this, about this, about this, about this. And I was so scattered, which is pretty typical of my brain sometimes. So I went to my handy dandy chat GPT and I wrote in, what is the role of women in world religion? And I'm going to read you the first paragraph and then I'll paraphrase. It says the role of women in world religions varies widely. It reflects diverse cultural, historical, and social contexts. It changes over time, and there's feminist movements in every religious movement. Okay, and then there's this list. I'll put it on the table during coffee hour. And all of these different world religions, it's like, it depends. It depends, it depends, it depends. Because gender roles change. And so that's when I thought, you know what? I'm going to read a story about how gender roles change and maybe aren't as real as we think they might be. So our story today on this very tiny book, or you can look up here, is called Except When They Don't, and it's written by Laura Gale. It says, boys play monster trucks with glee, and girls bake cakes and serve hot tea. Girls like pom-poms, pink and jewels. Boys like fighting pirate duels. Girls sachet and sparkly shoes, and boys wear clothes of only blue. Boys cut bad guys down to size, and girls paint pink, purple,
butterflies, except when they don't. Boys build spaceships out of blocks. Girls delight in princess frocks. Girls think ponies are a blast. Boys like race cars, loud and fast. Girls perform to fairy songs. Boys play football all day long. Boys yell boo and run away. Girls like kittens and ballet, except when they don't. You might play with swords and knights, maybe twirl in flowered tights. You might tuck bears into bed or put earthworms on your head. You might like to paint your nails, maybe hike on nature trails. You might make a lot of noise or take baths with mermaid toys. You might think you need to choose dolls or robots, pinks or blues, except that you don't. Girls and boys like lots of things, Play-Doh, puzzles, queens and kings, dressing up and making forts, playing house, and playing sports. Flying planes and driving cars, hanging from the monkey bars, gazing up at distant stars, rock and rolling with guitars, everywhere from far, near to far. Be exactly who you are. And woo! And I also want to point out that this book is a little bit dated because we also know that our non-binary pals can do whatever they want to. Right? Yes. Woo! So, I hope that all of you choose to be exactly who you are and never think you have to do something just because somebody tells you that's how a boy, a girl, or a neither, or a both might act. So, would all of my younger UUs join me at the back of the room and we'll go over to RE, and the rest of you, will you sing us out?
I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And somebody has a book. All right. Thank you for writing where I can read it. I appreciate it so much. These are our joys and concern in our community that we want to share together. So first thing first, happy birthday, Allison Faber. Woo! Gay says Marlon, her husband, is coming up for parole in 2024. We need support letters for his parole packet. See, Gay, if you are interested about learning more about this. Carolyn Clark and Mary Ellen participated in a successful Brazos Valley Chorale. Congratulations. And it was a Christmas concert last evening. We all missed it. We're sorry. I'm so proud of my husband. His persistence this semester has really paid off, Jesse says about Sean. Oh, we just finished a great camp out with our Cub Scout pack. Warren.
Rowan, Rory, and Ivy.
Ah, thank you. Mimi Wells, grandmother of Meredith Wells, and great-grandmother to Jimmy and Joseph Ball, passed away on this week. So sorry. Darby and Brian are holding the loss of our soccer friends, Julian and Herman. Okay. This week, peace and love to their families and all that love them. And that is it. Let's still hold all the people in Gaza and in Israel in peaceful peaceful thoughts. Have a moment of silence for them. It's a rough world where you don't know where you're going to sleep or when you're going to eat next. Amen. May it be so. And now we're going to sing a really cool one. Maybe you don't know this one, but you'll know it by the second verse. It's called Sing We Now a Christmas. Do you all know that one?
Yes.
You can go by the second verse.
Definitely need help. Sing we now of Christmas, Noel sing we here. Hear our grateful praises to the babe so dear. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. Angels call to shepherds, leave your flocks and herds. Journey forth to Bethlehem, find the child so blessed. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. In the town they found him, Joseph, Mary, mild, seated by the manger, watch the holy child. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. In the eastern country, they the kings afar, bearing gifts to Bethlehem, guided by a star. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. Golden word they took there, kiss the praise Christ. There was there a stable, so like paradise. Sing we Noel, the child is born Noel. Sing we now of Christmas, sing we now Noel. Yay, thank you so much, Molly. Y'all give it up for Ken and Joe for playing. This is a reading from Hans Kohn. He says, if you cannot see that divinity includes male and female characteristics, and at the same time transcends them, you have bad consequences. Rome and Cardinal O'Connor based the exclusion of women priests on the idea that God is the Father and Jesus is his Son. There were only male disciples, etc. They are defending a patriarchal church with a patriarchal God. We must fight the patriarchal misunderstanding of God. Amen. So this subject's a little large, you think. But here's the basic truth. Patriarchy sucks. And it's everywhere. I could not find a religion that did not have some sort of stereotype about what the gender roles are. And a lot of our Christianity that kind of controls life in the United States is based on a Bible that was written by the most patriarchal people you can possibly imagine. And even Unitarian Universalists have not done that great. But we're going to talk about all of this, talk about things that are moving forward. We have some changes that are happening slowly, and then we have some very bad fallback positions like what happened with the Baptists, the Southern Baptists. So, where should we start? Let's start with some figures. 86% of women in the U.S. are affiliated with a religion. 63% of women say that religion is important to their lives, and 44% attend worship services at least once per week. That's a large amount of people. It's not so good in Europe, not so good in other parts of the world. 70.6% of the U.S. population have chosen Christianity as their religion, but only 31.5% of the world population is Christian. 55% of those people are women. So what I can't figure out is why we put up with it. Really. So a lot of Christianity's beliefs are based on a letter supposedly written by Paul to Timothy, where he says in Timothy 2:12, "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." Does that make you mad?
Yes, it makes me very mad.
Or it could get worse. Here we go. Corinthians 14:34. "Let you women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law." Now remember that these are translations, and not necessarily the best translations. Mostly the ones that we are familiar with in English come from John and King James and the Bible, which he was a royalist and he was trying to get the thing translated in a way that would make you stay under the king and do what you were told. Makes me mad. Can you tell? There are some better ones. Acts 2:17 says, "And it shall come to pass that in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and the old men shall dream dreams." That's a little better. But basically, it's not so good. Now, we talked about Islam not too long ago, and Islam was really great in the 6th century for women. It was a big move up. Not so good right now. Still can't drive in Saudi Arabia. Can't drive. Only 9% of the U.S. population have chosen the religion of Islam. The world population, however, is 23.2%, and 35% of the members are female. That's pretty good. It's not so good if you're under the Taliban or the Muslim Brotherhood. Judaism, 1.9% of the U.S. population. Worldwide, it's 0.2%, and 48 of its members are female. They've got some weird ideas about it. Hinduism is 15%. In the U.S., there are 0.7%, and overall, there are 38% women. Now, Hindu is a little better in that we have the female godhead represented in Hinduism. So Pope Francis recently announced that women can now read during Mass, and instituted the change to recognize the precious contribution women bring to the Catholic Church. So what he said was, women can't be priests, but they can be acolytes now, so they can read during Mass. Now, in the United States, mostly that's been true. But in the southern world, in South America and Central America, him coming out and just saying this was a big deal. It's a step in the right direction. We like him. He's trying to change things. Just not enough. In January 11th of last year, he announced and reaffirmed that women cannot be ordained to the priesthood, and sparked further controversy for those who advocate for expanding the deaconate to include women, and for those who oppose. Now, in the LDS church, there are some cool women trying to change it. It's pretty much like the more conservative Protestant churches. But a woman who's running a group called Kate Kelly started the Ordained Women organization in 2013, and she wants equality in ordination for LDS women. She got excommunicated from the church. Jehovah's Witnesses, they're supposed to all be preachers, including several million women. There have been a lot of major scandals, sexual scandals. For the most part, Protestant religions generally have a priesthood of all believers.
What?
But then everybody quotes Timothy and says, no, sorry. It's changed quite a bit. Now, I want to talk about Unitarian Universalism because that's where we live. So, the first women ordained were in the 1860s. It had a lot to do with women organizing the Red Cross. Universalist women were very involved in that. And Olympia Brown was the first ordained Universalist minister who had a church. There weren't that many. In 1977, it was like 5% of the ministers. We have 1,027 churches total. We have 51 to 52% women ministers now. But it was not like that when Meg started. It wasn't like that in the 70s when they finally did a statement at General Assembly, kind of like what we're doing with the Article 2. And the UUA had to support churches extra to get them to hire women in the churches. They got women into seminary, but they didn't give them churches. And congregations didn't vote for them. We're kind of going through the same thing with trans and non-binary ministers now, and ministers, BIPOC ministers. So, how many people think there's a lot of BIPOC ministers and trans ministers?
Say what that is again.
What BIPOC is? Explain.
Oh, Black, Indigenous people of color. Black, Indigenous people of color. So it's a polite way of including everybody who is not of the white supremacy culture. So how many people think there's a lot of those ministers now? There's not. No, it's like 7%. That's what's really going on. But we are mostly women, which is good. Why is it good, Kiya? Well, historically, when we had only men ministers, there was a lot of hierarchy involved in the way that they were ministers, because religion reflects culture, right? So we had ministers who had an inordinate amount of power, including a lot of sexual abuse, especially in the 70s in the Unitarian Universalist Church. There were a lot of ministers who were sleeping through their congregations. If somebody did that now, they would be thrown out of the UUMA. But it took a lot of work to get from there to here. And I just want to acknowledge that. So when we're thinking bad thoughts about the Southern Baptists, there are people working on it. Rick Warren's church, Saddleback Church, do you all know Rick Warren? Is huge. And he ordains women and hires women ministers. And the Southern Baptists tried to kick him out, which is a big deal since there's like 7,000 of them in his church alone. We're a long way from being where we need to be. That's what I'm trying to say. Does anybody have any questions about this or how we did this? Anybody feel moved to say anything they want to say about it? I am not calm and easy about patriarchy.
That's a problem. What is happening to the Southern Baptist Church?
So the Southern Baptist Convention believes women are complementary to men and cannot hold any authority over men. Same for the LDS. And they use that Timothy. But if you do any Bible research, Paul didn't write that. So check it out.
So are you saying that has most to do with the Greek and the Latin translations?
It has to do with whatever was happening at the time when they said this book was written by this person. And it's not possible.
I guess I have a comment, which is people tend to lean and rely on the structures of culture that they're immersed in. And, so you point out, how women, are a huge part of population, but they reinforce, say, patriarchy. But you also pointed out things like, movements in the right direction. And I think really that is kind of incremental change. I think asking a community that has a lifestyle to just suddenly change really can destroy things. And it actually, in my opinion, leads to power struggles where strength, like physical strength, which men have, actually becomes dominant. So when you upset or perturb cultures, then it could just as equally end up in a similar situation. So what I think is a good thing to do is things like you mentioned the Pope, incrementally moving towards a more equitable thing where other attributes become powerful in addition to simply physical strength. So that happens slowly.
There are branches of the Catholic Church that have moved away from Roman Catholicism or Eastern Orthodox that do ordain women. In Norway, that church, but we don't ever hear about them here because we live in a theocracy on a certain level. But I think it's worth checking out, and when you catch yourself going, well, that's how they've always done it. A lot of women ministers are women ministers because of suffragettes and the different levels, the feminist. We had the Iowa Women's Sisterhood in the 70s, 1870s, and they were working on the frontier where there weren't enough ministers. And the Northeast ministers, men, did not want to go out there. And they changed the way that they became ministers. They were more family-oriented. They had church that was like feeding people, clothing people, providing services during the week. That style of ministry comes from women. And now we're a mixture of all those things. And I think it's important. We can thank those people. And they kind of fell out of favor after the Victorian era and didn't really come back until the 1970s. So anyway, I encourage you to look into it. Don't assume that the Bible is always the same. There are no original copies of it anywhere. And don't assume that all the mistreatment of women is God sent. And why would you worship a God like that? That's all I want to say.
Now, let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to help support important nonprofit organizations with which we work. The 4 groups we voted to support with this year's donations are the African American Museum, Brazos Valley Blessings, the Pride Center, and the Brazos Mobile Food Pantry. We vote on this every May at our congregation meeting. Please be as generous as you can.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of the community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
Go by a new church and look at the new sign. Until we have the order of occupancy, I can't tell you 100% that we will be in the building, but I know we'll be in the building in January, and we're aiming for the 7th as our first service. And we'll have ribbon cutting, and we'll advertise it on our new sign. Very exciting. So, but don't miss the play next week. Don't miss the play. It's going to be great. We'll have wassail, and everybody can make their intentions known for the holiday season.
What is it? It's what?
Remember the way of the wind, and breathe and blow. Remember the way of the fire, sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the way of the water, ebb and flow. Remember the way of the earth and grow. Go in peace.
Well, that's